Now we wrote to the Rosewater Football Club and said, and asked, can we use your name? Right?
The Bulldogs?
The Bulldogs, yeah. See? We just Rosies then, see? And they wrote back, said certainly yes, and they sent us a full set of Guernseys.
Wow.
That's no bull, man. Yeah.
Fantastic.
The old Ted Whitten job. Yeah.
Is that what you're wearing in the photograph?
Yes. That's the Guernsey. That's it, yep. That is, yeah. We just out of politeness.
Yes.
You know, and they're that thrilled, you know, that we see South Australia, because we're going back a bit now, and it's a different environment, the professionalism now and all the, you know. Yeah. And they sent us a full set of girls. Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many games at Rosewater?
Oh, I would never clue. Never counted games. I played, well, I don't know, like, I think I was coach for about 4 or 5 years. And so I must have captained them for 6 or 7, I suppose.
You were certainly captain in 57.
Yes, yeah. See, I'd coached them the year before.
In my opinion, without any fear of doubt, with his slow, deceptive style, just lope along, he's the centre man of the play centre. Drift across right back. The opposition player would be a yard in front, and he'd just be loping along, wouldn't expend any energy digging in like an Olympian sprinter, just slowly go after him. Before you knew where it was, he'd be picking up the ball in front of him and clearing it away from it.
The way I would say it is he read the play better than anyone I'd seen in amateur league. So he didn't have to run too far. And this is when he was 31. He'd get plenty of kicks because he was able to read the play.
In my opinion, because I can only speak of my time, he would be the best footballer that played for Rosewater. Without any fear of doubt.
A friend of mine, Mark Kretschmer, who played for Port Adelaide, he said the general story at Albert Nova was that Clary was better than Davey Boyd, who went on to win a Magarey medal.
Well, I had him in, I coached him into A2 premiership. And the following years we was runner-up in the A1 premiership. We played off in the grand final of the A1. But we got beat pretty comfortably by University, if I remember rightly.
But Rosewater was always thereabouts.
Oh, in that era, yeah, we was always...
And why was that?
Oh, we had some good players, you know. Without big note myself, I went there as coach, and, you know, which they were playing, I don't know, down a bit, and we came up to A2 and then into A1, and we stayed there while we had that group together. But once that team sort of broke up, they fallen off the pace a little, I think.
That was really the golden era of Rosewater.
Yeah, because we had some good footballers.
And who were they?
Oh, James Farr, Jimmy Farr. I think he won 2 home medals, I think.
Yeah, he won 2 home medals.
He did.
Correct way.
Don't think he did.
Where did he play? What position?
You're pretty sure he didn't?
I can look it up on the thing. I reckon they were an A2 and an A3 medal.
Ah.
Right. Oh, he did win an A1 medal, 1954. Jimmy did. Right, now, A2 medals around that time. Yeah, Jimmy won, Clary won the A2 medal in 1952, and Jimmy won in the A2 medal in 1953. And then Jimmy won the home medal in 1954. Now, Did he win an A3 medal? I've got a feeling he did. Yeah, 1955, Jimmy's won the A3 medal.
That was with Sammy Parks, I guess.
So
Yeah.
Jimmy's won in 1953, 54 and 55 in 3 different grades.
He's what we used to call a follower.
He played for Port Adelaide and he played in the grand final. I think he kicked 4 goals in that grand final. He was a ruckman in 57, turned to a full forward. But he's an excellent pack mark and he's one of the reasons we won.
Always a fantastic mark.
Brian Beer, you know, and
Brian Beard, one of the funniest men you've ever wished to meet. He's such a tough nut, you with me?
Yeah.
He didn't know how, he was a little, you with me? Oh, was he hard, you with me? He runs through a brick wall. This is a place at half back, and he only knew one thing, and that was straight at the ball, wouldn't matter if a train was coming, straight at it, and that was his game. And of course in those days, double as long as you could.
oh, who else was there? The Shannons, they were good.
Bobby Williams was another one, a little bit short, but anything that moves he punched. He was the one that started that fucking blue. Here now, Grand 57 showdown here. Yeah, it was him. He'd throw one, he could bet your balls that sometime during the game, he'd drop somebody. Yeah, without any fear of doubt. That was Bobby.
We went up, as I say, we got promoted after A2. Following year we played off in the grand final in A1, and then we lost some players. The senior players, Don Gregg, well, he played a few games for Port, we lost him.
Donnie Gregg was not only a very good amateur footballer, played a few league games, but he was a top Sheffield Shield cricketer.
Really?
Yeah, he took, one day against New South Wales, he had none for 99, and then within second new ball he had 5 for 103, wow, including Norm O'Neill.
And then there was a bit of a rebuild. And then we got Brian Beer and Larry McCauley, some of the younger blokes come through. And
Whereabouts did they come from?
they were Rosewater. They were Rosewater boys, you know. Yeah. And Jim Farr, of course. They were all Rosewater, born in Rosewater.
Yeah. So they had a good understanding of what was expected of a Rosewater footballer.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they grew up with them, you know, that's...
And what was expected of a Rosewater footballer? I mean...
Oh, in a sense, just go out and give your best. And we had a couple of hard blokes, Bobby Whelan and them blokes. We had a good mixture. We had blokes that could play a bit. And we had
It's the one he hasn't mentioned. Oh, they're both dead now. He hasn't mentioned the Shannon boys.
He did actually,
Yeah, they both played over here for Port Adelaide.
Kenny did.
Oh, Kenny did?
Stan didn't. Stan played state amateurs.
Yeah, they were pretty handy players.
Very good players.
Very good players. And they were Rosewater boys?
Yeah, but the Rosewater boys.
And they could obviously play?
Yeah, they were good players.
Both of them very tough players.
I think we were about 4th, I think. Yeah, we was the lowest in the finals, but we'd started to play well, and as I said to the fellas, I said, you know, the way we're going, we could give this a shake, because they played as a team and they had confidence in each other, you know, which is a big thing.
The other thing you've got to remember that Jimmy Brown was the coach of that side. He was the coach of the 1957 premiership. And I don't hear his name mentioned, but and really I knew Jim reasonably well because he lived at Rosewater, but I don't really know, can't remember what he was like as a coach because I was pretty young in those days, but he was the coach of that team.
No, Jimmy Brown was a very, very good coach. I had a lot of time for him. He was highly respected by the players.
They welded together into a good side, and it come through?
Well, we played Woodville in the last minor round game and got beaten.
Down at Semaphore Park ground, and everyone had the flu, and we got trounced.
And that dropped us from second to probably about fourth. And then we had to play Flinders Park in the first semi.
Now, anyone thought we were going to win the next week. It was a pretty big ask what they asked, and we rose to the occasion, and we did. But Woodville then went in as a SAC B grade team for the league the following year.
Clary got injured. He dropped out the side, and they put me in the centre, which gave me a lift. And then we played. We won that game, and then we played University in the preliminary final, and Clary came back.
I can remember going into the University, because they were probably near favourites, I suppose, after the match. They couldn't believe it, you know, that we beat them.
We beat them at Paynham. Paynham Oval. We won the first semi against Flinders Park and a preliminary against University, both at Paynham Oval.
No, they were dumbstruck, you know, that was what happened. But we played as a side, and, you know, we had blokes that were pretty hard. We had Frank Tanner. He was only 6'1". He was our leading ruckman, but he was a very hard man. Yep. First thing he did was give you a punch in the guts or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, and he just asserted his authority. If they come back at him, they said, all right, let's play football now, sort of thing.
That's right.
Yeah, but if he found you out and you didn't come back, he didn't let up.
He was a hard man?
Yeah. Yep.
Was he a dirty hard man or just?
He was hard.
Hard man.
Oh, he'd whip one in occasionally.
Yeah, so we had players like that
Did it for the team.
did it for the side.
Do you tell about Wally Anderson? We used to give Wally wouldn't be going too well, and Bobby said, I can't put up with this shit. So he'd go whack and give him one behind the ear roll. He said, oh, Bob, was that prick over there that did that? And Wally, which one over there? I'd stir him up. Clary used to be part of that. Clary used to tell him to do it. Give him one, get him going.
You remember that?
Yeah, it used to happen every now and again. I used to get put out in the half forward flank, have a rest, and I think this is, you know, you feel like going sitting down with the spectators in those days, because you didn't go from one side to the other of the ground. You know, you just stayed on the. So if the wind was blowing the wrong way, you just sat out there like a stale bottle of water. I used to get pretty bored with that. So, yeah, a few of them used to give me a belt under the ear and tell me it was some bloke, so I'd go crazy and chase him and take the ball on the way through. No, I know they did it to me, but I didn't mind.
His own player used to give him one. Didn't know who it was. He thought it was the opposition. That's Greg Anderson's father, Wally.
Good. Then we had Fairclough. He finished up assistant coach at Jack Cale at Port Adelaide. He was playing for us.
Yeah. So he's no slouch. He's no slouch.
Oh, good player. Yeah, good player.
Actually, I heard Rolly was talking the other day about one player in that team. He was always singing, and he'd play in the centre, and he always had a pass to you at half time. Who was that?
Oh, Christ.
He was a rove for us. He used to sing Rose Marie all the time as he ran up and down the field.
Did he ever stop?
He just kept singing. You know, he was just a bit of an oddball, but a nice enough lad, quiet lad, but yeah, he just sang.
George Sheedy, and he used to sing while he was waiting for the centre bounce. And Rose Marie, I love you, he'd be singing. I'd pick him while he had picking up the ball and running downfield to kick it. Yeah.
He'd be singing and he'd be singing.
Who's
Irish
that
was a smiley.
Rollo. Do you know Rollo?
Rollo, yeah. Rollo was my coach when I was playing under 15s. Yeah. When I first went there, he was the coach of the under 15s, and he was the B grade captain in the first season in '63 when I played there.
Once he got about 1, 2 fingers on one, about the other one, he was one of the best
how do I say it, chest marks you'll ever see for the size. He could get up like a, I won't say like a bird, but he was unbelievable.
Rollo Johnson.
Well, you blow me down with a feather. I didn't recognise him. I haven't seen him for donkey's years. Yeah.
You're going well, Rollo.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm pleased to hear that. Because he was a good footballer at school and in the early days. I think he spent a bit of time out with the Colts, but until he had his accident, and that sort of ruined his career. But he still played football, and he was a bulldog, a bloody bulldog, that lad. No, a lot of time for him.
George Sheedy.
And what would he be singing?
Rosemary, I love you.
Rosemary, I love you.
Yes.
Singing everything. Irish eyes are smiling, and he's in the over the football.
In the middle of the pack.
And, you know, 3/4 time, I come home and I go to give me a dress and he's got a cup of tea and a cream cake.
And he also used to sing, "Don't take your guns to town, son."
He's a nice little bloke, but he used to sing on the field.
Yeah, he used to wear a glove.
Yeah?
Mm.
Playing?
Yeah, he was wearing a glove before it ever even come in. Occasionally on the wet days he'd have the glove on. And, yeah.
What sort of glove?
Well, just a woolen one, cut off there, just to help ball handling.
There you go.
He was ahead of his time.
He finished up a homeless bloke in Adelaide. Yeah, he lived in his car.
If drugs were around then, you'd swear to Christ he was on them.
Yeah.
Right.
But he didn't need drugs to...
I don't know, no, it was just George.
Yeah. But...
He was a likeable bugger.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There wasn't a mean streak in his body. He was just, as long as he woke up in the morning and he could get a cup of tea somewhere, right? As he started sleeping in the car, he was one of those, right?
Used to have a pasty and a cup of tea at half time. They'd be looking for him, he'd be out there having a pasty and a cup of tea.
But just a natural born laid back, whatever will be, will be. Yeah.
And a good footballer.
And a good footballer to boot.
Oh, he was a good player. Yeah, good player. I don't know where he came from, Victoria, I think. He wasn't a local bloke. We wouldn't have a bloke like that at Rosewater.
I think he lived in his family lived in a housing trust home over in Seaton.
Anyway, and he lived in his car.
What, even while he was playing for Rosewater?
Yeah, you ought to see his car. And in the finish, he became a sort of a homeless person in the city. Yeah. You know, go to the Salvation Army and get the meal and the shower or something like that. Yeah. And Brian Beer, who was vice captain, he was an accountant in Adelaide, in the city, and he ran into him. And he said, "Oh, how are you keeping?" And asked him about it. He said, "I'm going to play football again." He said, he still had that thing in him. But I've never met a person like him. You know.
He used to sing down the Rock Island Road. The Rock Island Road, and people looking at him, what the hell was he doing? That's fact. That's not bullshit. That is fact.
And then there was another great character who was, I believe, your mother.
Oh, my mother, best 19th man we ever had.
Tell me about her.
Oh, Mum was a barracker and she couldn't keep still. And she always...
I think if I'm correct, she either attacked a guy from St. Peter's Old Collegians, I'm not sure, it might be Jerry Hargraves, I'm not sure, but...
That was over a brother. So I had a brother that played. And he was a hard man too.
Clary's brother, Billy. He was a bit of a goer too. They used to call him the Beast.
Him and his opponent were having a bit of a stoush, and anyway, Mum must have seen the other bloke hit her son. That can't happen. So she marched out on the field. She was going to take him on.
She did?
Well, she tried to. That was her intention.
With the umbrella?
Yeah.
Oh yes, without any serious doubt. She used to march up and down the front and both sides of the ground And if the Chloe got one, she'd be straight out from the boundary, right, with a little umbrella in her hand, right? Take two hits by Chloe, right? Oh yeah, she was an icon to all the amateur league sides.
Oh yeah, she whacked a few people on the sidelines with her umbrella. Yeah.
Didn't like umpires, but never ever swore. No language, never ever.
What would she call the umpires?
Huh?
If she couldn't.
She'd call him a cheat or something like that, and she gets fired up and get out to. But no, she'd never. But funny, my nephew got married. This is what, 20, 30 years later, and the lay preacher was an umpire at the time we played, a bloke called Russell. And anyway, after my nephew had been married and we're all sitting around having the yarn, and I said to Mum, come up and I want you to meet...
Fred Russell.
Mum said, you're still a cheat, she said. This was 20 or 30 years later. All right, you know, it's amazing, you know. But that's how the mother was. You know, she was...
And my mother was a very similar type supporter for Rosewater, followed me over there. And anyway, later on in life, when Clary had retired from the game, and that's when I was coaching Rosewater, she was following her grandson who played for Flinders Park. Anyhow, this day out there, she was cutting crook about me, Mrs. Christensen, and Mum, she opened up, and so I think they had quite a few words. So,
oh, well, that's who it was, because I can remember that day. I was there.
Really?
Yeah, but I couldn't remember who she was getting into.
So it was a good argument.
Yeah, I can remember. I wasn't playing then, but I can remember her brandishing an umbrella.
So, yeah, so she did change. It was Clara, the family she was following.
She married, and of course, she got a bit of a reputation because she couldn't stand still. She'd walk around the oval, and my father would be walking around the other side. Keep away from her.
Just keep away from her, that's right. But apparently she actually got banned at one stage, and then uni, this is what Rollo was telling me.
Yeah, she got banned for 1 year, right? And believe it or not, it was a university football club that applied to the amateur league football body at the time. They said she wasn't doing any harm. She was just an exuberant. We liked it. I said, well, all the sides knew when they played Roseville that Chloe's mum, right, would give them one verbally, right, but she'd go out on the ground with this walking stick, see? And I said, we're missing all that. I said, she's just an exuberant supporter, right? But Clara is number one. And you don't do anything against him. Right?
Or his brother.
Yeah.
Or his brother.
Or his brother, yes. Yes.
That's a great way.
I enjoyed my football at Rosewater very much, and I met some real good people, you know, especially in blokes that worked for the club, like Squeaker Wicker and Philp, and they're all passed on now. But then when I first went there was some captains of Rosewater then, like the Johnny Bugs and the Coppings. You know, they were all Rosewater people. Always, I always remember them. I still remember them, played with them. And the Dick Bolmeyer, was secretary for years. You know, that's what the club's made of, isn't it? People like them that put their time in, and
you know, they're great. They're people that know how to stick together. They love the club.
The Shields and that. Yeah, we had old. There was Ray Shields who played a lot of football for us.
Ray Shields, in that final in 1957 against University, there was a bit of a mailing in front of the goals. and I finished up on the bottom of the pack, and I'd left my hand out. All of a sudden I felt someone jumping up and down on my hand, and the crowd got off, and I got up and I'm holding my bloody hand, and Baldy Shields said to me, "Gee, was that your hand, Wally?" I said, "Yeah, you made a decent job of it." So yeah, I had a bit of fun in that game. Your own player jumping up and down on your hand.
You thought it was a uni guy?
I thought, yeah, that was Baldy.
And then there was his father, Native, Shields we used to call him. He said, my shoes were that thin. He said, if I trod on a penny, I could tell whether it was head or tails.
The father was Native, and the two boys were Wally and Ray. There was another boy named Dennis, but he didn't play footy. Ray was a very good footballer. He was a state amateur league footballer. But Wally and his father, Native, Dick, his right name was, used to come over every Sunday morning, and they were characters. I can remember one story one Sunday morning. They were talking about the relative merits of or hardships in World War I and World War II, and Dick said, "Did you have gas in World War II?" And Wally said, "Gas? The bastards didn't even give us candles."
We're going to ask you to start the off right now. So someone want to start me off? Someone want to start me off with 10? Someone? Put your hand up. Yeah. Someone? Anyone? 10 here. There's 10 grand to start. Right. Now we're right. Here we go.
Used to get good crowds, tremendous crowds.
What sort of? It was like obviously packed all the way around.
Yeah,
the ground.
they'd get 2,000. You would, you know, on a home game, they'd pack it. They'd pack it right around. So I'd say there'd be around 2,000, 1,500 to 2,000 people.
Because then we had our famous fight at the bowling club when after the
the night of the grand final.
Yeah, with the Semaphore Centrals.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
I didn't know much about it because I was down at Central's show down at the Palais. Because while I was away, this happened.
Right. Now, it happened during the day. Now, I'll stand corrected, but just before half-time, Kreutzer, as he's known, Donny Fletcher, one of the played state football for South Australia, right, was coaching semi-centrals. And Bobby Whelan, our hitman, or one of them, just before half-time, right, whacked him.
Yeah, well, that's what I tell you. That was one of our hard men. Don Fletcher was the captain of the Centrals, and he'd played, used to play sort of a kick behind the game. Well, in the final, he played full forward. And anyway, there was a couple of goals down at, say, three-quarter time, and he'd come up to try and lift his side, you know, to win the game. Because he got the ball and he was running with the ball, and he dodged one, he dodged another. But while he was doing this Whelan bloke was coming and lined him up, and then he did another turn, and that's when he hit him.
In fact, I was only talking to Kevin Salvemini about it the other day. Yeah? He played for Semaphore Centrals.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I should go and have a chat to him.
Yeah.
Well, he finished dodging the third bloke, or the second bloke, and because he didn't see Bob coming. And that's when Bobby Whelan was, he whacked him, knocked him off, well, not knocked him over, lost the ball, of course, and Fletch took a time to get over that.
Bob got him straight down the front, I'll never forget that.
Straight down the front?
Straight down the front. Just dropped him like a sack in the middle of the ground.
Really? How did he hit him? Like, hip and shoulder? Or?
Yeah, shoulder, just bang. Don come up, bang. That was the end of him.
The important thing about this was that there was no free kick given against Bobby Whelan. It could have changed the game if it had been a free against Bobby Whelan. Yeah.
But yes, it lost the game for us, I suppose, because Fletch was trying to lift us, but he just couldn't, and he was buggered.
Yeah, that was the thing, Don Fletcher, yeah. Because Whelan, how it instigated, earlier in the year, because Don used to keep you on the game. I got Bobby Wheel, and I said, look, wherever he goes, you go. Don't forget. About half hour later, they both come in, they both got blood. And I'll get you. But that was part of it, and I think that helped us in our final too. You know, because it probably changed their plans a little.
Were there any reports in those days?
No, not that day. There would have been that night if there was an umpire at the grand final turnout. There was players flying everywhere.
After half time, out come coacher, Donny Fletcher, with the biggest blackest eyes, he couldn't see out of it. So that, in my opinion, virtually won us the grand final, because he could barely see in the second half. So that effectively took one of them, and he was playing captain coach. So, all right, we go out to the Rosewater Club, right, hide that for the night, right, she's on for young and old, you beauty. So, up come representatives from the Semaphore Central, our opponent for the day, on behalf of their club, to wish us all the best on beating them that day and going premiers. We all said, oh, well done, yeah, that's got quite a lot. But now, Johnny Fletcher's wife, right, and Bobby Whelan's wife, right, had words. Evidently, Mrs. Fletcher had a go about belting the hell out of her husband.
Yes.
And that was Cadillac, right? With that, the two men stepped in. Sorry, Donny wasn't there, right? There was a jacket called Billy Shea. Now, who was the other man that...
It's me.
Well, there's a few of them.
How many came up?
Oh, more than two.
But Bobby Williams, right, was into Billy Shea, right, because they were representing the Semi-Central Club, and then all hell broke loose. So...
Well, I was the instigator of going over to Rosewater, and Bob Pink came with us, and anyway, none of the other Central lads decided Don Fletcher wouldn't come over. So the others went over there, and Don said to me, "Can we sure you're satisfied?"
It's only reason we had a good crowd. It's only a small place, right, really. So they all spilled out onto the bowling green. Now the women had stiletto heels on. See, in those days they usually got high heels, shit, that was a common. And then the men had leather-soled heel shoes on, still throwing punches, right?
Oh! Throwing them from their backside.
Rosie's got banned from the bowling club.
Oh yes, yes, yeah, because of that.
It ended up a pretty wild old night, as was the case with Rosewater in those days, because they were known as a bit of a wild club. And I think even a couple of the Semaphore Central blokes came up to congratulate us, but were met. I think one bloke, and I think it might have been Kevin Sow, got a punch on the nose from someone from Rosewater. Wasn't it? That was the way it went in those days.
Yeah, if someone whacked me. I was talking to Stinger Beats and Gary Taylor, and I got whacked from behind. He king-headed me. Oh, down I went, because then it was on. Finished up the... Well, my wife was there. She came out. She was in the room, then I was out the front. And she came out. Well, they were all out on the bowling greens.
Now, when the curator went round the following morning, and he took one look at the bowling green, there was holes 3 and 4 inches deep in it, right? all over it. And you know how finely cut and all that is, right? They had to work like hell to be able to play for the next game, right? So we were promptly barred for life.
And it was Clary's brother, Billy, because he's a bit of a nut. And
Kevin was in that melee, not as a participant, I don't think, but he got caught up in it. And anyhow, the next morning there, about 9 o'clock, I think, 10 o'clock, he turned up down the club. Somehow or other, he'd lost his bloody watch. So, yeah, he wasn't too happy about it. I don't know if he ever got it back or not.
So he turned up, he got whacked, and then he had to go back the next morning to look for his watch.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why, but Billy Christensen ended up getting stuck into one of our, one of Rosewater's players. They had a bit of a tiff, right?
Liberty, Uncle Fred.
And what happened exactly?
Oh, he got somehow finished in the brawl.
Two of my uncles was there for the show. They'd never ever followed Rosewater, but they came there for the premiership thing, you know. And then the brawl started, and and his sons followed us, was Fred and other. And he went, the brawl started, poor old man was down on the ground, the other bloke was into him. Hey, he said, it's your poor old dad you're hitting. It was his son in the brawl.
Is that what you were talking about? So it sounds like it was an accident.
Pardon?
Was it an accident?
Yeah, but I saw the punch straight. See, and I thought, what that's how, you know, that's how a Johnny Book it was. I thought, hey, they're related, those two. And I said, they're going hammer and tongs. I thought they had a boo, right? But yeah, so that's after all those years I found out, I said, well, I was scratching my head, because naturally enough, being the smallest shark in the room, I was bloody kept into the Johnny Book. I was, you know, back to the wall job. Yeah. And I saw him too. I said, what's between those two with me? Oh, see, in the same way, it was hysterical. Once the dust settled, a week later.
Well, I can remember Billy Christensen. I can remember a lady coming up with a jug with a jug to get a beer, and he got the gun and shot it all over.
What, that night?
That night at the grand final. So everyone was pretty well under the weather.
I didn't even speak to Clary because he was the one I wanted to speak to and congratulate him, of course, on the premiership. And because I had a lot of time for Clary, and I could never beat him. He must have rubbed his hands when he saw he was standing me.
So you actually played on Clary that day?
Yeah, we played centre, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was quite good.
It was quite good. Well, thanks very much, man. I really appreciate it, Clary.
Yeah,
you're a legend.
Yeah.
Jury still are sitting,